Hi, this is Andrew Phillips, the founder and editor-in-chief of EM Coach. I'm coming to you with quarantine style and quarantine attire for this month's description of the question that we have for you on EP Monthly. So we're talking about WPW, and in frank honesty, when I was first learning WPW, I was under the impression that all WPW tachycardia had to receive procainamide to be shocked. And that's not actually the way it works. So similar to any kind of other SVT, supraventricular tachycardia, of which this still falls under that category, it is a supraventricular problem. WPW, how you treat it depends on which direction the circuit is going. So there's the orthodromic, which is most common actually in WPW, and that's where the accessory pathway is where the signal is going back up towards the atria, and then the signal actually comes down through the Purkinje fibers through the AV node, and you wind up with a narrow, complex tachycardia in WPW. In this case, you would treat it like any other SVT, what we colloquially call SVT, which is usually AVRT or AVNRT, but you treat it with some sort of AV nodal blockade, whether that be vagal maneuvers, like the answer here, followed by adenosine, and then you would do beta blockers or calcium channel blockers, etc. So when you have a narrow, complex, regular rhythm with a patient with a history of WPW, the answer is still AV nodal blockade. Now, here's the tricky part. If it is ever wide complex, whether regular, irregular, you cannot treat it with AV nodal blockade. Now here's the reason. Initially with orthodromic, follow me here, the signal is going from the accessory pathway, which is outside the AV node, and down the AV node to the Purkinje fibers, right, and out to the ventricles. That's orthodromic. Antidromic is going in the opposite direction. So actually the signal down to the ventricles is coming down the accessory pathway and then going back up the AV node. That's why you end up getting a wide, complex tachycardia out of it, right? Because you're not able to get that speed down the Purkinje fibers. The acceleration of the signal is coming down the accessory pathway and spreading through the ventricles. If you have a wide, complex rhythm, the patient with WPW, you have to either use procainamide or shock them. Now, of course, the central theme here is if you don't know or you have any kind of concern that maybe it's a little wide, maybe it's not, then the answer is shocking. Even if they are stable, you can still, the safest way is still to, overall probably, is to sedate and then use electrical cardioversion. If you don't know, that is the way that's not going to cause more harm. There are, of course, the risks of sedation, but if you're not sure, the safest electrical way of fixing this is by electrical cardioverting them. So narrow complex, even in WTW, is AV nodal blockade. Wide complex is procainamide and potentially shocking. So that's this month's edition, and I hope you guys are staying safe.